Take a deep breath inside your sealed, temperature-controlled room. Feel the still, filtered air. The modern walls protecting you are hiding a dark biological secret. By locking ourselves indoors, we effectively starved our immune systems. For 99.9% of human history, your body was built strictly for the open sky. These concrete boxes you call home are quietly breaking you from the inside out, triggering a massive wave of allergies and autoimmune diseases today. This is exactly why APE2 Legend exists, to uncover one ancestral secret every week. Hit subscribe and stay on the journey with us. Think about your normal daily routine. You wake up in a box, commute in a rolling metal box, and sit inside a giant glass box. You spend up to 90% of your entire life enclosed inside four walls. You might feel perfectly safe, entirely insulated from the harsh elements. But your physical body is vibrating with a 300,000-year-old genetic memory. It remembers roaring winds, endless savannas, and a horizon that literally never ends. Deep down, your biology feels trapped. It begins to crawl with a silent panic, sensing that this sterile, unmoving environment is fundamentally unnatural and wrong. When you picture prehistoric ancestors, you probably imagine them hiding deep inside dark, damp caves, shivering in the cold, desperately waiting for the morning light. We call them cavemen, but that is a massive archaeological illusion. Caves simply preserved bones better than the open ground did over hundreds of millennia. In reality, caves were incredibly rare real estate. The vast majority of early humans were nomadic foragers who slept directly under the vast, open sky. Every time they breathed, they inhaled a massive, invisible cloud of organic microbes, pollen, and natural dust lifted by the constant, sweeping ancient winds. Those microbes weren't enemies. They were vital biological training partners. Your immune system evolved to expect this constant, daily workout from the surrounding wild environment. It relied on that natural dirt to learn exactly what to fight and what to ignore. It was a perfect, finely tuned evolutionary balance. But then, roughly 10,000 years ago, humans did something that shocked our biology forever. We decided to build permanent walls and close the door. But to understand why that door broke us, we have to travel back before the walls existed. Imagine your ancestors constantly walking across the open earth. For over 300,000 years, your body was not designed to stay in one place. Staying stagnant was a guaranteed way to starve. Your tribe never slept in a sealed, dark box. You rested in temporary camps, heavily ventilated by the freezing, sweeping winds of the Pleistocene. When you woke up, you packed your simple hide tents and moved on. You left your waste, your parasites, and your old dirt far behind. This relentless movement meant your environment was constantly flushing itself clean. You were continually breathing a vast, wild ocean of diverse, living organic microbes. Your immune system evolved to literally swallow this daily microbial storm. It needed that constant exposure to properly calibrate its own complex defense mechanisms. Without the daily dirt, pollen, and natural bacteria from the open wilderness, your internal defensive army simply doesn't know how to train itself properly. Anthropologists like Richard Lee observed that mobile foragers naturally escaped the dense buildup of pathogens. Nature essentially acted as an infinite, self-cleaning ventilation system. You never had to worry about indoor air pollution or sweeping the floor. The rain washed the earth, and the wind blew the danger away. This gave your ancestors an incredibly robust biological shield. Your genes were meticulously forged in an environment of total, uncompromising exposure to the wild. Even when winter forced you to seek shelter, true deep caves were rarely used as permanent homes. They were too damp, too dark, and too suffocating. Instead, you huddled near the wide, open mouths of rock shelters. You needed the smoke from your campfire to escape, and you needed to breathe. Trapping yourself inside with no airflow would mean inhaling toxic soot until your lungs burned. You instinctively knew that enclosed spaces were highly dangerous. This perfect, open-air biological rhythm dictated every single breath of your ancestors for thousands of generations, until a massive agricultural shift changed the rules. You stopped walking, you started farming, and for the very first time in human evolution, you decided to build a permanent roof over your head. Imagine a place called Çatalhöyük, built roughly 9,500 years ago. It was one of the world's first true permanent cities. But these early homes didn't look like yours. They had no front doors, no wide windows, and no streets separating the heavily packed houses. To enter your home, you literally had to climb a wooden ladder and walk across the flat roofs of your neighbors' tightly clustered houses. You would drop down through a small hole in the ceiling. This single opening was your only door, window, and ventilation shaft combined. Inside, the air was thick and punishing. Every time you cooked a meal, the dense smoke from your fire was completely trapped inside. You were suffocating slowly. Your ancestors breathed in heavy, dark soot daily, coating their lungs and turning the indoor walls completely black over time. The open, self-cleaning winds of the savanna were entirely gone. In their place, a stagnant, artificial microclimate began to brew within these tight walls. And the creepiest part? When your family members passed away, you didn't bury them in a distant, separate cemetery far outside the living village. You buried them directly underneath the sleeping platforms of your own home. You were literally sleeping right on top of your deceased loved ones. By keeping the dead so close and living packed together with zero ventilation, you created a perfect, enclosed breeding ground for entirely new problems. You traded the dangerous predators of the open wild for a much smaller, invisible enemy that thrived in these dark, crowded, enclosed domestic spaces. We often think the invention